Morning, Raptorsfreak Alexiot's here. Friday freak out, and I'm freaking out today, and I'm freaking out for major reasons today because of the election yesterday. Now, I freak out a little bit about the Celtics winning Game One the way that they did because of the turnaround in the fourth quarter. Steph Curry came out and he was bombing. He was looking so good in the first half. The Warriors were taking care of things. They were cruising. And then in the fourth quarter, there was a huge point swing over those 12 minutes where Boston overtook them by 24 points, and they ended up winning the game. And it sucks. I mean, I'm upset about that, but not anywhere near how upset I am about the election yesterday. This absolutely dreadful election in Ontario is very bad for Ontario. It's very bad for Toronto. It's very bad for just general normal people in Ontario. I'm going to talk about it in a sec, but we'll finish up with the game real quick. Apparently, Derek White had a baby. Like him and his partner had a baby just before this final started, and we're seeing a little bit of the Fred VanVleet Jr. effect with him because he blew up last night and was huge for the Celtics off the bench. And then once again, a lot of what we've said this week about the Celtics team came true. Jaylen Brown was the man last night. He was the one who led the Celtics towards winning this game last night. Al Horford was the second banana, and the golden boy that they toot the horn about was not the man who was doing it. Jason Tatum was not the man stepping up to help them to do it in the way that those other two guys were. Now, I hate that the Celtics won, but Warriors, once again, you've lackadaisical in the first game of the finals and you get beat. And this time it's worse because it was on your home court. And this is bad. This is bad, Steph Curry. This is bad, Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr, you got to stop being so nonchalant about your team going into series. You need to take things a little bit more seriously, Steve Kerr, because I feel like you don't. And yeah, Boston's real dangerous, and I don't like how this started. I think the Warriors still have a good chance to win, but they need to get their ass and their everything together because this is really, really bad. All right, listen, let's talk right now. Raymond Jacobs already here. He's already had some comments. He's asking me why I'm upset about Ford. Well, I can tell you all kinds of reasons, Raymond Jacob. It's not good for you or me. It's not good for anybody in this province because, listen, Doug Ford is like Trump. He wants to do things like Trump. He wants to regress us. He is a regressive. And a couple of the things that he wants to do are he wants to privatize healthcare. This is really a bad idea. We do not want to be like the Americans with their healthcare system. We want to be like the Europeans with our healthcare system, which is how we are right now. And that Doug Ford is just looking for ways to help his crony buddies and maybe even himself line their pockets by making us pay for our health care. There is something immoral about making people have to pay for their health care because you're basically profiting off of their misery, their disease, their blood, their dysfunction, and their dying. You feel like you want to make money off people dying and having problems with their medical issues and stuff like that? You are fucked. You are fucking evil people that want to make money off that. And that's part of the reason why the American healthcare system is so broken. That there's so many greedy fucks putting their hands on the piece of the pie for the payments for healthcare that they skyrocketed the prices and everything. That's why insulin is bought in Canada and taken across for people that need it and die because of it. You hear about people that ration their insulin and flirt with dying because of the cost of that in the US. Do we want to be more like that here in Canada? Fuck no, we don't. We have a good system here. But it only takes one fucking opportunistic capitalist bullshit motherfucker to try and change the laws. And the worst thing about last night is he got a bigger majority. So there's a mandate. And this means that he can more freely try and do shit that is really bad for our province. Under the 4 years that we've had Doug Ford, housing costs have gone up. Toronto has become more and more unlivable as a city. We cannot live in this city. I don't want to live in this city more because I can't pay the rents here. That all the properties here are getting bought up by huge corporate companies, and they're turning around, and they are not the same as slum landlords or landlords that just own properties because they're a person. These are corporations, and they have no feelings. They have no heart, and they are fucking people over left and right, not giving them a chance if they're just barely late. And that is the world we're going to move more into under Doug Ford, is more like the fat cats lining their pockets and us getting bled dry. And if they're going to move into the whole area of healthcare where they're going to try and privatize healthcare, and that is what he's saying he wants to do, then we are fucked. We are in big trouble. We don't want to be more like the US. In fact, there's a lot of these anti-abortion people that got elected also in this election. It's not a good thing what happened last night. In fact, I'm disgusted with our own people. Apparently this morning they're saying only a 33% of Ontarians voted yesterday. That a third of us voted. And then you got to realize that the system here in Canada is just as rigged and fucked up as the state system. Sure, they have two parties, but they do gerrymandering. But we do gerrymandering here also. And one of the ways Ford helped himself is by taking ridings away from the city of Toronto. Because in a lot of ways, sure, the whole province of Ontario voted for Ford because they're these rich conservative assholes out in the country, and they made sure they voted. But nobody in the city voted. All the common people, the people that are busting their ass here in this city of Toronto, did not vote. And that is a huge problem. Was it because you didn't know? Was it because it was on Thursday? Was it because the candidates weren't good enough for you? You should have got up off your ass and saved us, because you people that did not vote, you fucked us over in this election. The majority was not heard. That this guy does not actually have a majority of Ontario, but it looks like it because of the way the election went. So this is really bad. This is bad for the everyday common person in Ontario. We are going to have even more costs laid on us. We're going to have even more bullshit happening that we don't really want. That a minority government that is called a majority right now is in charge. And it really has to do with like the fair vote, like act, like this whole thing about like it's not representative of the people. This is not a democracy. A very, very small minority of people voted this last night. And whether it's the apathy of the masses that didn't go to the polls, or it's just the way that the system is rigged to make it like this, he games it. The Ford family has been good at gaming politics. That is what they do. Part of it's greasing hands with money, part of it's old mafioso type stuff, part of it's just sweet kickbacks from sweetheart deals with other people in business ways. That is not who you want running government, and especially when they want to start making profits off of our healthcare, off of our lives, off of our children, off of our blood and our maladies. That is immoral to me. What it goes on in the United States is immoral with their healthcare system. And Doug Ford wants us to be more like the States. That is fucking awful. All right, Raymond, I don't care about Trudeau. Trudeau may have fucked up the Liberal Party and made them unlikable and stuff. I don't vote for Liberal. I'm not a Liberal. I like Trudeau. I voted for Jagmeet Singh. So listen, I'm not going to go and bash Trudeau today because he has nothing to do with this shit other than maybe there's a backlash against Liberals and it hurt the election and gave it partly to Ford. So, that is what it is. And yeah, most people didn't know he's DeLuca. Who cares? The candidates don't even matter at this point. You need to vote for the party and the party that supports what you support. That, there's not going to be a media machine out there that's going to push these people in the same way that Ford's getting pushed. That, Andrea Harmuth, DeLuca, who are these people? But I don't care. You look at the platform and things like that. You can't get in the cult of personality. And that's the whole reason why Doug Ford won like this, is it's a cult of personality. It has nothing to do with really helping the people. It's people like him because they want to have a beer with him. It's the stupidest fucking shit. It's like electing Homer Simpson. He's the closest thing that Canada has to Donald Trump. And we don't want anybody like Donald Trump in leadership here. So big fail, Ontario, and we're going to suffer for it for 4 years. Raymond, you're going to feel it yourself. Trust me. Let's see. Raymond saying, I hated Ford during lockdowns, but DeLuca, imagine. I don't give a like I said, I don't give a shit. I'd much rather it be more split so that there isn't even a majority and they can just be in the grinding against each other and nothing happening. I'd rather that happen than a mandate and him getting a majority and him being able to say, oh, I can do this because the majority of people want me to do this. No, we don't, because you didn't have a majority. It's all falsified and made up. It's so messed up. Oh my gosh. It's not about listening to them either. Don't listen to them. It's like, who gives a shit about the person? It's about the principles. And what do you care about? Do you care about having free healthcare? Well, then you needed to vote against PC yesterday and do something. And even the whole three-party system with the NDP, the Liberal, and the PC kind of divides the vote in a way that makes it hard for a side other than the PC to win. In some ways, it's a lot of it is very rigged and messed up. Tom Duke is here. Holy lots of threes last night. Morning. Happy Friday, freaks. Go Raptors. Yeah, crazy finish to the game. Lots of threes by the Warriors early, and then later, Jaylen Brown and different people stepping up. Derek White for the Boston Celtics. And I hate it. I hate it. I don't want them to win it. We have to stop them. Come on, Warriors. Get the fuck up and stop them. Just like we needed to stop Doug Ford yesterday, and we failed. So it was a really bad day in Ontario and just in general, in all kinds of ways. G saying, I know you're upset, but having the same parties run federal and provincial is not good either. Any party with that much power is not good. Balance is key. All right, G. I mean, I can see your point of view, and I'm with that, but it's not good for us. In fact, they better stop him at the federal level from doing anything with privatization of healthcare. That is the biggest issue for me in particular, is that, I know people that have very certain budgets and they have to pay for prescriptions. They have to do medical things all the time. And, the way that it is right now, it works really well for them. And any kind of increase of prices or costs on them is going to really hurt them. So it's a very serious thing. And I don't know exactly how it all works. I hope that he can't do stuff on a provincial level and that Trudeau can stop him from doing anything with our healthcare, because Canadian healthcare works. Canadian healthcare is doing a good job compared to things like the States. And if we move in any kind of direction towards that, this is the main thing that I'm talking about. Now, I can get into how the lockdowns went and how they handled it. I can get into, the housing costs rising and the lack of affordable housing in the city. I can get into how Doug Ford doesn't give a shit about Toronto and that he wants Toronto to pay for everything on its own and that he doesn't want to help from a provincial level. I can get into all kinds of reasons why this is bad. But the main one today is healthcare, because that is the very serious main change that he can make that will really hurt this province and is not moving in the right direction. It's regressive. It's not progressive. We already have a progressive healthcare system that works, that is just like other progressive first world countries that are doing the best job in the world as far as taking care of their populations with healthcare and life expectancy stats. People in the States are more likely to die 5 years younger than Canadians. And we don't want to be more like that. Do we want to lessen our life expectancy? That's what privatization of healthcare will do, is that it will lessen people's lives and how long they live. So it's just basically that, man. G saying, Alexi, Germany and even Greece and other European countries have a two-tier healthcare system. Our system needs help. Look into it. It's not privatized, but also helps the private system, the public system. Okay, so you're saying a two-tier system where there's a private system and public system. All right, but still, you know what? It's insidious. Once it gets in there, you may be a slippery slope and it may change things. And then all of a sudden they're saying, oh, everybody is like this and this. Now, okay, if they're going to have a public healthcare system besides some bullshit where they want to leech off people and make money off of them, their pains and their maladies and diseases, then whatever. To me, it's all smacks of just a money grab and just like fucked up businessmen trying to figure out a way that they can make profits and money off people in the immoral ways. As I said, I feel like it's very immoral to privatize healthcare in a lot of ways. So, all right, let's see. Tom Duke's saying, I can't get Rob Ford out of my head when I see his brother. Rob Ford was, listen, Rob Ford was his own thing. He was a disaster in himself. And in some ways, like, his death was maybe a good thing. I hate to say it, because we didn't need him around as politician. And his brother, in a way, is better than him. I hate to say that also, that Doug is a little bit better than Rob. But it's still not good. Like, this whole family, like Kennedys, Clintons, Bushes, we don't need political dynasties in this world. We really, really don't, including Trudeau. We don't need political dynasties. I don't want to see Chelsea Clinton running for something later. I don't want to see the Bush twins running for anything. I don't want to see any kind of Trump kids. in anything like that either. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just a bad day for Ontario. Trust me. We don't need more Doug Ford. It's going to be bad for us. Adriana's saying they just need to get sick themselves and see how much medications in hospital stays cost. They won't even want to privatize. Yeah. Raymond Jacobs saying, I support free healthcare, but right now I love my guns. Legal even more. The gun thing, I don't understand why you're worried about that here in Canada either. We have good gun laws, and whatever guns you have under the laws that we have right now, that's fine and everything. Like, the states have a whole other kind of epidemic and stuff like that. Like, the states are just a dumpster fire. Like, they're basically the Lakers of the world. As a country, they are like the LA Lakers, and the way that their team is run right now, that is the United States. Just as much of a loser dumpster fire of a country right now. And I hate it because I want the states to do better as a leader in this country, in this world. But they are just such a dumpster fire with their shootings and just all the other bullshit going on there and the misery. This is not a good country to model yourself after. And then anybody who's trying to be more like the US is messed up. So we don't need that. Yeah. Let's see. Rest in peace, Doug Ford. Rob Ford. Doug Ford not as entertaining as Rob. That's what Alistair's saying. Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's true. I mean, Rob Ford, seriously, this is a problem. Why do we vote on the cult of personality? That was the whole problem with Donald Trump. It's the problem with the Ford brothers. It's a cult of personality. There's not a whole lot of substance other than, listen, we're going to be here. We're going to act like, you could have a beer with us and you'll have a lot of good times and talking to me. I'm a common man and all this kind of stuff. Meanwhile, they're going behind our backs and fat catting with the sweetheart deals with their own big corporate friends and rich people. And they're all kinds of favors at the detriment of the populace in different ways and stuff like that. You don't want those kind of people running government. People like Rick Scott, people like Doug Ford, people like Ron DeSantis. These are not good people. They're people that profit off of the people in really shady backroom deals and stuff like that. And we don't need that. G saying, my father-in-law had a stroke. The public system treats the elderly horribly. I went through it for 6 months. They are last on the priority list. His wife wanted to help him with their savings and couldn't, not saying to privatize, but if parts of it are given an option, it may help. All right, G. Well, I'm glad to get a counterpoint. I'm not the kind of person that is like, I'm going to get mad if nobody's not agreeing with me. And maybe I am having an overreaction about what happened last night, but it just didn't look good. It doesn't look good. I don't like what they're saying. And you know what? Maybe you're helping me to understand this a little bit better than how it may be able to help people also. As long as they don't mess with the free healthcare, as long as people are still able to have access at all levels of society, then okay, sure. You want to have an ivory tower kind of, gold medallion class, like in flying for healthcare, where there's people want to pay in more and they get a different kind of thing. I mean, I don't like it in some ways because in some ways I'm going to see how basically what happens is like what they're doing in the States is they hurt this. This is the way that this has worked. Gee, you know why the public healthcare system hasn't been as good in the last 4 years? Is because Doug Ford guts it. And that is the playbook for that kind of politician to put forth that we need privatization of it because it's not that good. It's the same thing that they're doing with the U.S. Postal Service in the States right now. They're robbing it dry of funding so that people will get up in arms and say the public postal service is not working. We need to privatize it. It's part of their game plan. So the fact that your problems with healthcare is probably because of Doug Ford in some ways, because he has hurt the healthcare system with his policies so that people will cry out for privatization. That is the exact playbook of how they do it, is they defund and take away from the money from education and healthcare, and then they turn around and say, well, we need to privatize all of it to do that. So I don't like hearing what happened specifically with your father-in-law. And I do hope that, they get the right care and stuff like that. It's just that you got to realize that part of the reason why that happened is because he is robbing them dry of not having funding so that people will cry out for privatized healthcare also. Just as long as there's two tiers, I like what you're saying with that. I'll be fine with it. But if they completely go privatization with healthcare, that's a big mistake. by Canada, and it will kill its citizens at a younger age if they do that. That's just the only thing I've known from that. Monique saying, "Hey y'all, WNBA Toronto, let's go. It's looking more and more possible." Monique, they came and did the assessment of Toronto as a viable WNBA city, and that we have the infrastructure, we have the capital, we have the means to support a WNBA team. Now, they had a short list. It's like 7 teams, 6 or 7 teams or cities, and San Francisco and Toronto are the two favorites. There's other cities like Seattle. Wait, no, Seattle already has one. There's other cities like Las Vegas. I think Memphis is on that city. There's a couple different cities on there, but I like our chances, and I think that all the buzz up here right now that we have, like us talking about it, people on the news talking about it, that'll make it more likely to happen for Toronto, and that they're going to reward these cities teams by the end of the year. So we'll know whether Toronto has a WNBA team by the end of this year, and that they would be playing in 2024 if they do start, when they do start for us and stuff like that. So I'm really happy about this. At least there's some good news that it looks like we're in the final runnings for getting a WNBA team awarded expansion team to our city, which is awesome. Fredo's here. He's saying, "Let's go Warriors." I'm with you, Fredo. What the fuck happened last night, Warriors fan? We want you to win. Raptors Nation has your back. And we want the Warriors to win this one because, listen, you guys win. It makes us look better because we won a championship against y'all. And we don't want Boston to win. They're a division rival. We hate them. We don't want Imadoku to win a rookie year NBA championship like Nick Nurse did. We have all kinds of reasons to support you, Fredo. So we're right behind you, and we are with you, Warriors Nation. Take care of business and get the Celtics done. Last night was not the right first game. Let's see. Monique saying, "What about Jack Devlin?" Yeah, he graduated from university. Congratulations, Jack Devlin, son of Matt Devlin. So proud of this dude. He got a good degree in something, and he's just such an awesome dude. Like, he's so inspirational, and I'm just so happy for that family. Like, Matt Devlin and his wife and the other brothers and Jack himself. Great job graduating, young man. And you're on to bigger and better things. I know you are. And you're a great shining example of what an individual can accomplish. So keep going, Jack Devlin. We're all rooting for you. All right, let's see. David S. is here. Once again, your streak is alive, David. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you as usual, David. Hope you become a regular on the regular all the way. Tom Duke saying, "Gee, I hope your father-in-law is healing up well." G saying he passed away, unfortunately. Man, this is not what we want to hear. And I can understand where your personal side on this is with this and stuff like that. That is too bad. Now, I have to say, with my own interactions with the Canadian healthcare system at different times in my life, it's been really good. I had an inflammation in my elbow that I got from when I was bar backing at the Velvet Underground in the mid 2000s. And it was a cellulitis, and they thought it might have been a flesh eating disease because it got in through like the grime in the bar and through a cut. And I got a really huge, like my elbow swole up like the size of like a grapefruit almost. And I had to go to the hospital. And I went to Mount Sinai in downtown Toronto, right in the middle of all of us. And I was worried about hearing that, seeing how the healthcare system, how long it takes to get in there and everything like that. And you know what? It was a little bit of a wait in the waiting room, maybe like 5 hours. But once I got in there, everything happened real quick. In fact, they put me on the fast track, and I had surgery on my arm within 5 days after coming into the emergency room. And, I didn't pay a lick. I paid for my pain pills after the surgery, and they fixed me, and it was all done. So I've had good healthcare experiences with the system here in Canada. And I can understand your frustration, G, if things weren't moving fast enough with your father-in-law. And I am sorry. I truly am. And I have my condolences. But also, I've spent half my life here and half my life in the U.S. So I've been a part of both systems. And I can tell you that the difference myself personally. And I found that the Canadian system was quite good when I've had to deal with it. So I don't know. I know everybody's experience is different. And then maybe people just want options. They want the option to pay more and get a different level of healthcare. Then, all right, in a way, I can get behind that, especially if it'll help situations like the one with your father-in-law, G. So, listen, you guys can sway me. If you give me more information, I may be just not hearing enough about subjects. and just going by my own personal perception and my own personal experience with things and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm really sorry about that, man. Tom Duke saying lessons in loss are a tough lesson, but good for perspective. Yeah. Yeah, it is tough. And yeah, I'm looking at both sides for you guys. Raymond Jacobs saying, Alex, did you like Kathleen Wynne? Didn't a lot of people hate her and voted Ford? I liked Kathleen Wynne. I think, honestly, part of the problem with Wynne is, I hate to say it, is her sexuality, is that she's a woman, is that she was kind of around when Hillary was around a lot in the States. And that in some ways she gets painted with a brush in the same ways that Hillary Clinton does in the United States, a discount. And I don't think that's right. So for me, I overly supported Kathleen Wynne because I saw a lot of the bigotry, the misogyny, a lot of the hate for people that aren't in same-sex couples. And that is why I overly supported her. Maybe she made some mistakes in policy and stuff like that, but overall, she really stood for what I wanted. And I was perfectly fine and happy with her. Now, Mike Harris, he was a piece of shit. Yeah, I can go through different premiers and tell you how I felt about them. Mike Harris was a piece of shit. And I really do feel like Doug Ford is also. And that these conservatives are not for the people. They're for big business, more so even than the liberals, because I understand the liberals are too. And that's the problem. We have to separate corporate interests and big business and politics. And until we do that, we will never have a representative government. And that's more so for the states. The states are even worse pile of doo-doo with this kind of stuff. At least it seems like our parliamentary system and the ways we do here may have some way of actually still helping us. But in the states, they're fucked. Everything is bought and paid for down there in a lot of ways and stuff like that. So Monique saying Scotty Barnes on Twitch is pretty amazing. Watch the latest streams. Yes, Monique, isn't it fun? Like, I'm so glad you're being positive and keeping it on subject with Raptor stuff in some ways. I didn't want to talk too much about Ford, but it is really the main paramount thing on my mind right now, just because of things. But yeah, Monique, did you see me commenting to Scotty under the Raptor Freak name? You'll see me in there when you watch it. But isn't it amazing to hear him unfiltered, just pure Scotty, playing and hanging around with his friends, playing basketball? It's really, really so much fun. And I highly recommend it for everybody to go check it out. Adriana's saying, I have been emergency rooms frequently, and you need an advocate. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. Yeah. G saying, overall, the system is great. Saved my nephew's life, but there are limitations and things that can be improved. I think that's with everything in this world and stuff like that. It's just, who do you want to be doing the improving? Do you want people that have corporate interests and bottom lines and money and profits and shareholders in mind? Or do you want people that have the common person, the everyday guy who's just trying to do his job and make some money and survive in this world? Like, who do we want to be the person who's representing us and doing the decisions for? Are they going to do it for the good of all of us in the city and in the province? Or are they going to do it for the people that they owe political favors to because they help them get elected and stuff like that? That's the stuff that I really worry about the most with Doug Ford, is that he is that kind of guy. He's like, he'll make deals with big business and he'll allow them to go and chop down a huge patch of land, to chop down all the trees and make something up. He'll do all that kind of stuff. And I hate that. That's the wrong direction we should be moving in towards. But listen, I don't want to be too contentious with this. I'm disappointed with the election yesterday. I really feel like we failed as citizens, that if it's true that only a third of us voted, then we really have to blame ourselves. That it's like, listen, there's an amount of problems with the way that they have the ridings and how they represent. Like, I'm in a riding that was very purely orange, and we got our representative orange. And we did good. In fact, if you look at the election map, you'll see all the red and the orange is clustered around Toronto and maybe in other little pockets in different places. But overall, it's like these huge patches of land out in the country are all PC. And that in some ways, some of these ridings don't have as many people as the ridings in downtown Toronto. And that it's not equally represented. Like, there's a huge amount of people downtown whose votes don't even really fucking matter. And that is partly by his system, because he took ridings away. He took seats away from the city of Toronto. And that makes that whole election thing all messed up and stuff like that. So Monique saying, with the draft approaching, I wonder who Scotty wants. Well, that was interesting that he was shooting around with Frazier this week from Illinois. Maybe they're friends, and but then maybe they just showed up the same day and they were both just kind of hanging out and getting to know each other a little bit. But I don't know, Scotty. It could be that he wants John Butler Jr. because he's Florida State. It could be that he has some friends that are from West Palm area that would be fun. But I bet you he doesn't. He's not too worried about who we draft or anything like that. He's just going with the flow. And I love that he's been in the city. Once again, he posted a picture yesterday of the CN Tower in downtown Toronto and saying that he's in Toronto, baby. He's here with us right now, and that's so cool and awesome and stuff like that. So anyway, I don't want to go on too long. It's just been a half an hour. Here's my freak out for Friday. I truly am freaking out about the election yesterday. It is not good news for people in Ontario. This is going to hurt the people of Toronto specifically because Doug Ford is anti-Toronto, and that's part of the reason why he gets the whole rest of the province up against us. And that, he doesn't want to provide funding at a provincial level for the city of Toronto. In fact, he holds the purse strings on any kind of thing for us, and he hurts the city. And, the other thing, like I said, the housing costs in this city are getting crazy. And they're only going to get worse over the next 4 years with this guy in charge and him having more power in some ways. So I don't pray a whole lot, but I'm praying for our province and the people of it, because I really feel like this is a bad turn of events. That we're more likely to try and take away abortion rights under him. We're more likely to cause more problems for us on the housing market and things like that. So maybe I'll give up the healthcare argument because G has enlightened me today and say maybe, if there's a little bit of privatization and choice for people, that's always good. I can get behind choice, but I do not want to see free healthcare or public healthcare go away because of this asshole, Doug Ford. Yeah. So, all right, let's see what else. Skater Die's here. Good to see Skater Die. Gobert to the Mavs. So proud of my Celtics. Good morning, my guy. Hope you're having a great day. All right, this guy's a Celtics fan. Kudos to you guys for winning the first game, game one. I hate it as a Raptor fan. I do not want y'all to win. And, listen, once again, I'll say it. Jaylen Brown is your superstar. You guys can laud Jason Tatum all you want. The NBA can make him y'all's number one superstar, but fuck that. Jaylen Brown deserves more credit. Jaylen Brown is your true, actual dude, to me, in my opinion. And Al Horford is second in some ways behind him. And Jason Tatum's kind of a bum in some of my opinions and stuff like that. But kudos. Fantastic fourth quarter last night. Amazing comeback by the Celtics last night. I do have to give you guys credit. Now, it's going to be real tough for the Warriors to come back. Yeah, Celtics D was swarming. Skater Die agrees about Jaylen Brown. Okay. Richard Ramdas is saying Jaylen Brown is the best player on the team. He obviously is. He was the one who took over last night, and he did it. And I really like Jaylen Brown. Like, out of the Celtics players, he's the one I wish we had on the Raptors in some ways. Like, he is the one I would love to have on the Raptors out of all the Celtics and stuff like that. Are the Warriors too old? That's an interesting question, Skater Die. I mean, I don't think they're too old, but maybe there's some issues there. I don't think they are. I mean, Clay's been out for a couple of years now, so he should be fresh. And maybe Draymond's getting too old. Maybe Steph's a little bit slower than he used to be, or maybe not as good. But I don't know. I can't say that. I mean, the way Steph looked in the first half, he didn't look too old then. So I don't know. That's an interesting question. Skater Die saying, if Jaylen had less turnovers, he would be our star. So you're really counting the turnovers. Well, I don't give a shit about turnovers. Turnovers are going to be high usage. Players going to have turnovers. I look at shot percentage, and the shot percentage between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum quite often is very much won by Jaylen Brown. Then he'll take less shots and have just as many points or just more points than Jason Tatum. Tatum's a high volume shooter who misses a lot. And that's the thing that I look at right there, is that his efficiency hurts the Celtics. That's the thing about the knock on Tatum for me. Let's see. Yeah, Horford is having a season. Horford, I don't know, man. They said he's 36. And I was going to say, if anybody's getting too old, it should be Al Horford. It's not the Warriors that are too old. It should be Al Horford because he has played a long time. Skater Dice saying, can't be a superstar if you can't have the ball in your hand. Exactly. You can have turnovers. You can't, Pascal has the most turnovers on our team. That's because he's handling the ball the most. Fred gets the most turnovers. That's because he handles the ball a lot. So it's a lot of that. G saying the East has much better defense. Yeah, that could be a factor in this. I don't know. Golden State, you really need to go back to the drawing board. In fact, listen, their dynasty has been so casual. In some ways, I feel like they've coasted to some of these championships. As far not coasted, but like it's been easy for them in certain times, in certain places. Like the LeBron Cavs teams that they beat, in some ways, were pushovers. Like they had LeBron, but that was it, really, in a lot of ways. And they are good championships. I'm not discounting the championships. I'm just saying that, listen, the Raptors were no pushover when they played them, and they didn't take them seriously enough. And I feel like they may be repeating this, that they need to take the Celtics very seriously, Steve Kerr. Because like after the first game against the Raptors in 2019, Steve Kerr in the interview said we didn't even really plan for them. We didn't look at their team. They weren't who we thought they were. We hadn't seen this team because we had made the Marc Gasol trade, and we looked different at that point from when we had seen them in the regular season. And Steve Kerr didn't do any prep. And that's part of the reason why the Warriors lost game one, the game I went to here in Toronto, the first ever NBA Finals game played in the country of Canada, and the Raptors won. Steve Kerr admitted after the game that they didn't prepare enough for the Raptors or understand them enough. And I hate to think that this is the same thing because they need to jump on them, especially with home court. They lost. Now they don't have home court for this series because Boston has already taken it away from them. And that's a really, really bad thing. Really, really bad thing. All right, let's see. Monique saying Scotty's officially going to Game 3 in Boston. Yep, he's going to be an NBA reporter for the telecast. It'll be very fun to see Scotty in that role, and it'll be great for him to be in that environment and see the whole feeling of it all. Because we want him to want to be in that environment and to thirst and hunger to be in that environment. And yeah. Let's see. Skater Die says, I didn't even think about that. I do agree. Tatum does not take good shots. It's so weird that you are my favorite analyst right now and you are a Raptors channel. All right, Skater Die. Listen, we ingratiated ourselves with Sixers Nation with a very, very, very tough series where it was like, we both kind of hate each other and stuff like that. All right, you know what? If you're going to come in and ingratiate yourself, charm yourself with me, then I'll start liking Celtics fan a little bit more because you are actually coming in and humanizing them. Because right now, y'all are public enemy number one to me in a lot of ways. And, I like this. I like the fact that you're saying this and that you're here listening to me and it's a Raptors channel. That's awesome. But yeah, you know what? Listen, I don't want the Celtics to win. I am going to be rooting for the Warriors every step of the way. But if you want to come in here and hear my takes about the games after the games and stuff like that, that's cool. And I'll be fair. And I'll talk about it. But I am a big fan of Jaylen Brown. At least we can have common ground with that. So let's see. Skater Die saying, I'm not from Boston, so I don't have their ego. Okay, well, that informs me to why too also. All right, y'all. On that note, let's go Raptors. I guess I'll say let's go Dubs. And you know what? To be fair, I'll say let's go Celtics a little bit too. Just to be fair with the audience here today. Because Fredo's here as a Warriors fan, and we've got Celtics fan here also today. So it's all good, guys. Have a great day, guys. Have a great weekend. Get out there, enjoy the beautiful weather in Toronto. It's so amazing right now. And maybe we just need to not worry about or think about the things that happened yesterday and just hope for the best. That maybe Doug Ford will make some good things happen, hopefully overall. But I don't have a lot of faith in him, honestly. And tomorrow, we're going to do the Saturday Share Love Club. And we got to share love for this trade rumored guy this week, this weird enigma, this man who goes into interviews and says the wildest things or nothing at all. Is like, how do you feel about Texas, OG Anunoby? Yes, that's right. Share Love Club, OG Anunoby edition tomorrow. So think about all the things you love about our silent assassin, our man that is enigma purely in himself. A badass OG Anunoby. We'll be talking about him tomorrow and showing gratitude towards him and what he brings towards the Raptors. All right, y'all, please have a good Friday. And thank you. Honestly, I want to personally thank you specifically for coming towards me with a counterpoint that informed me more. And also, listen, I like that we don't all agree all the time on the same things. And it is really important that we allow people to disagree with us and not be like, oh, no, you have to agree with us, agree with me and all that stuff. I'll never be like that. So if there's any Ford supporters that watch my channel, please, this is just my own personal opinion. Views expressed are mine and solely mine, and not necessarily the views of the whole Raptor Freak channel. And that is all of you guys. And I understand that. So, and we can all coexist. And I'd much rather be informed and stay in communication with other views and opposing views of mine so that it can be better informed and that dialogue does not close up, because that is a bad place to be when you're just in an echo chamber and you're only talking to people that agree with you. That's why it's good that Celtic fans here. That's why it's good that Warriors fan is here also. All right, guys. Sergio Scolarioni won another championship overseas. Monique dropping the breaking news. Sergio is a champion once again over in Europe with his team. Good job, Sergio. Coach Sergio, part of the Nick Nurse coaching tree in Europe. All right, y'all. Have a great Friday, like I said, and look for me tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please subscribe. All the best. Let's go, Raptors! Woo!